And here we go. Good morning. It is Wednesday, the 12th already. This month is flying. Um, Nice and sunny, but a bit chilly this morning. But everybody is saying that it's going to be a very nice sunny day. And so that's what we're hoping for because tomorrow we're going to get drowned. They're saying warm breeze, but very windy and lots of rain, possibly 2 inches of it. That does not sound very good to me, but that's what we're after, I guess. And today we're dedicating this show to a very dear friend of JD and I. Um, Rosann Sayers, and how fitting that today we would do that because we're also talking about a family in need, and we all know that Rosann would be first in line to help and do whatever she could. And as most know by now, Rosann lost her battle yesterday with cancer, and she fought long, she fought hard, and worked every single day while doing it, and was a faithful watcher, listener, love of Aired Out, and looked forward to having us be with her during her chemo treatments. And we're honored and proud to dedicate this show to her, and we're going to miss her a lot. And the last conversation I had with Rosann was actually on Monday, when had just barely gotten home from the hospital, and the last thing she said to me was, "Don't you count me out." And she was talking about the trunk or treat at Preston's Kia. Last year we did it together. She parked right next to me, decked her car out in pink and her pink garb and her pink wig and the whole 9 yards, and gave out candy. And she said, "Don't you count me out. I'll be there." And I know she'll be there, just not the same way. So we will greatly miss her. But today we talked to another very dear friend of mine, Bev Sandborn, who, as most probably know, is the wife to Leonard Sandborn. And he was in a really bad car accident a couple of weeks ago now, or a week and a half.
It was October 1st.
Yeah, so just over a week.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, and he has been through hell, has had an extremely intense surgery.
Yes.
Has been intubated the entire time until yesterday.
Yes.
Took a ride in a helicopter. Have you told him yet?
I haven't told him yet.
Yeah. Because he had swore that he would never do such a thing.
No, and I think he knows. I think one of the nurses told him, but he had always said, the only way you're ever getting me in a helicopter or on a plane is if you're fucking sedating me.
Yeah.
So
and he was sedated.
He got sedated, and he took a ride.
Yeah. So some very scary moments.
Yes. The accident happened right diagonal across the road from where we live. So we as in me and two of my children heard it and saw it. We were the first three on the scene. My kids are absolutely amazing. I could not function to call 911, and my youngest daughter, Tasha, was able to do that. She was able to explain to them, what she had seen, and ask me the questions that dispatch was asking her.
Mm-hmm.
She did phenomenal, very phenomenal with it.
Yeah, I would have had a hard time calling too. I would have known that that's what I was supposed to do, but I would have been wanting to help him so much. I don't know that I could have done both.
And that was where I was I needed to get to him. Tasha took the role of being the absolute adult,
Mm-hmm.
and Aisha was just beside herself. She wasn't sure what she was supposed to do other than, just be there.
Mm-hmm.
And she helped with Tasha. She I stayed calm because they were both hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped them. That
Mm-hmm.
helped them so that they
and
could.
it probably helped him too. I'm
Yes.
sure he knew that you were right there with him,
Yes.
and because he definitely needed your help.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
And yeah, I know when you and I talked, you said that out of the blue came this game warden and a neighbor that
Yes.
you didn't even know where they came from, but it was quickly pretty much.
The neighbor, I saw him come running down across the yard, and the game warden. I'm not sure where he came from. He does live in town.
Mm-hmm.
The neighbors that had heard the accident, like down the road, said that
Mm-hmm.
it sounded like an explosion.
Yeah.
And the game warden apparently was driving by their house. I was told he was headed home. His name is Mike Scott.
Mm-hmm.
He was wonderful. He I was asking, what can I do? What do you need from me? Telling me, the ambulance was on their way. The fire department was on their way. He actually was able to shut the horn off on the car so that I could hear dispatch.
Right, and so that it wasn't blaring right there in your ear,
Yes.
and making it that much more of an anxious situation.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So huge thanks. Huge thanks to all of them that rushed to get there, rushed to my side to make sure I was doing okay, my kids are doing okay, as well as making sure Leonard was going to get to the hospital to get stabilized.
Mm-hmm. And I know, one of the points that you made with me, and it was important to you that it was made, is that this was just an accident. It absolutely,
it was.
Nothing else was going on. It literally was an accident.
Exactly. Leonard, when years ago, prior to Leonard and I getting together,
Mm-hmm.
we've been married for 10 years, together for 13 and a half almost.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to that, he did do some stupid stuff. I mean, we've all done stupid stuff.
Of course we have.
We all have. And anybody who says that they haven't,
lying.
I have to laugh about it.
Yeah, me too.
But this was exactly what it was. It was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
It was not Leonard being stupid. It was not Leonard speeding. It was not Leonard drinking and driving.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dad fixing his daughter's car and saving her a ton of money. And like anybody whose car he worked on, he took it for a test drive. And when he came back down the road, there was a mechanical failure of some sort, and it was an accident. There was nothing that could have stopped it other than not test driving it.
Yeah. And so an accident that also potentially saved the life of his daughter.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
who knows?
We were
happened.
told, I was told by one of the doctors at UVM in Burlington that had my daughter been the one driving the car, and even wearing her seatbelt, I probably would be planning her funeral. And as awful as it is that it is Leonard that is in the ICU and he's not home with us, he will tell anybody the same thing.
Right.
He is glad it was him and not her. I couldn't even imagine us trying
It's
to.
the kind of guy he is. I mean,
Yes.
that's just the way he is.
Yes.
He looks like a big, grumpy old bear, but it's a lie. I'm just here to tell you. It's a lie. I know that for sure.
I was gonna say
He has one of the
firsthand.
he has one of the biggest hearts I've ever known. I mean, I've said it over and over. I don't, the last several years of my life have been really tough.
Yep.
And the two of you have brought me through a lot of shit. And when no one else was around, you and Leonard were always there for me. Always.
and
no matter what it
that's-
was, either
and
silly
that's-
things even.
That's just how we are.
Yeah.
We and I'm not by any means at all trying to say, that we're the greatest, because I know that we're not. There are things that, I'm like, absolutely not. No, I'm not. But when it comes to our family, blood or not, if we can do something, we're going to.
Yeah.
And it's with the expectation of nothing.
Yeah.
I have never asked somebody for anything in return for helping somebody, because that is who I am. That is who Leonard is. And I mean, he's my other half.
Yeah.
He's the yin to my yang.
Yeah.
And that's just who we are. That's who we've been since we've gotten together.
Yeah.
And that's who we'll continue to be.
Yeah.
He's got a long road ahead of him. It's going to be a long road for myself and my kids, our kids.
Oh yeah.
But we're not giving up.
Yeah.
I'm not giving up on him, and he's not giving up on me.
So take us there. So we went from the scene to CVMC.
So he went from the scene of the accident up to CVMC in Berlin by ambulance. He was talking to the paramedics the entire way. He was talking to the doctors when he got to the emergency room. They ended up sedating him. They ended up giving him medication, pain meds, which knocked him out. And then they ended up intubating him. They did a couple of tests up there, but not a lot because of the extent of his injury to his chest. And they said, we just need to get him to UVM Burlington. They can handle this. They've got the people, they've got the machines, they've got everything. I was able to go up to CVMC and see him before they took him by helicopter. It was him without the voice. I mean, it was him without the voice. They flew him to UVM Burlington, to the emergency room. We got there about 10 minutes after they had gotten him into the emergency room. No, we were not speeding for anybody. No, we were not speeding.
Yeah.
It just was, we had to make a stop, and the helicopter left, just as we were leaving. I was able to talk to the trauma surgeon, who told me, part of what was going on and part of what they were going to do at that moment, which was they were taking him in, and they were going to attempt to do a laparoscopic surgery, to see where the bleeding was internally. That did not bode well with Leonard, so they ended up just having to make an incision. They found that he had a hole in his diaphragm, and that he had a tear in the backside of his liver. They were able to fix the hole in the diaphragm, and due to where the tear was, they were not very, I don't know what the word is. It was too risky to do a surgical procedure. So they ended up just going in and packing it with gauze. They ended up closing it with just some staples, because they were going to have to go back in Monday. And we prayed all weekend that Monday they would be able to take the packing out and close him for the liver injury. Monday was a really, really, really hard day. I tested positive for COVID. So in turn, that meant I was not allowed to go to the hospital.
Right. And you still haven't.
I still have not been to the
Tomorrow's
hospital.
the day.
Tomorrow's the day. Thursday the 13th is the day.
Yeah.
My sister Nikki has been my eyes and ears the entire time up there. Aunt Bonnie has been my eyes and ears the entire time up there as well. We talked with the surgeon. I received a call on Tuesday night from the plastic surgeon, Dr. Nesbitt. Absolutely amazing man. Absolutely amazing man. He told me in plain English what they were going to do. So for those who don't know, not only did Leonard have a hole in his diaphragm and he had a tear in his liver, he was impaled in his chest. His entire right side of his chest cavity was gone. His pectoral muscle on the right side was gone. They ended up going in and putting 4 titanium rib plates in. They had to rebuild his sternum, so now he has 2 titanium sternum plates. And he has more screws than they can count, holding all of this together.
Yeah, and then like another plate on the top, right, to kind of protect it all?
So they did not. They took an abdomen muscle and they flipped it up to put over the plates to protect it.
Yeah. I called him now we can literally say he's your knight in shining armor, right?
He is.
Literally now.
Me and some of my family were joking and saying that, he's going to be my Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's my titanium man.
Yeah.
He is my titanium man.
Yeah.
The surgeon, they took him in at 11:48 Wednesday morning to the OR. They started his surgery at 12:27. At about 10 o'clock that night, Dr. Nesbitt went out to the surgical waiting room and talked to 2 of my sisters and explained what was going on. Surgery, they said it went as planned. It took a little bit longer because his chest was like a puzzle. They had to try this piece here, try that piece there. If it didn't work, you had to take another piece and try another piece. Dr. Nesbitt said that Leonard is a unicorn. He said that most of the people that they see with this extensive injury don't make it the first 24 hours.
He's stubborn.
Leonard is stubborn. Leonard is stubborn. Anybody who knows him knows he doesn't ask for help. He's not one to sit. He's not one to be idle. It's definitely been hard because I haven't been able to be there. I was able to video call with him on Sunday when my sister Nikki was up there and my brother-in-law Mike. And at the time he was still intubated, but they had taken him off a lot of his sedation. So he knew
that you were talking to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He knew who Mike was. He knew who Nikki was. He kept motioning to take the tube out and kept getting told no. And he kept getting more and more agitated about it. Anyone who's seen me and Leonard together, they know that we banter. They know that I tell it like it is. He tells it like it is. We do it even more so to each other.
Yeah.
And I had to tell him. I finally had to get stern with him and tell him enough is enough.
Yeah.
The tube is in there. You're leaving it in there until the doctor is ready.
Right.
I got scowls from him. I got nods, head shake, no. I got thumbs up. I got, he waved to us. He waved to Tasha, which was a huge thing.
Right. Because she's been waiting.
She's been waiting. She's been waiting. And she can't go up until Monday because she tested positive last Thursday for COVID.
Yeah, it's been a road. For sure.
It has. And anyone who knows and who's talked to Leonard and I since this whole COVID stuff started 3 years ago, Leonard and I have been the ones that said, if we get COVID, we get COVID. I mean, we didn't go out looking for it, but if for some reason it got to us, then it got to us.
And it just happened to be now.
And I'll tell you right now, I have never been so mad to have gotten COVID. This was not the time to get it. The positive side of me said you got to look at this in a different light.
Yeah, because it would have been a lot for you to go through.
It
and
would
see
have.
And deal with as well. And he
not
didn't
only
know he was fully knocked out,
No.
intubated. He didn't.
No. So I turned the negative of having COVID around into a positive and said this was Leonard's way of telling me I needed to get rest because he's going to need me. And that's what's gotten me through. That's what's kept me going, because anybody who knows me knows I'm stubborn as well, and I will go and go and go and go and go. And so I was able to take last week and recover from COVID. And think about, that the small things, don't sweat them. Don't sweat them.
And maybe take a deep breath and start to understand a little bit about what life is going to look like.
Yes.
Because he's going to need help.
He is going to need help. I will be the first one to tell you, I know I'm going to. Because there's going to be days where he is just going to be the most stubborn man, and I'm going to be frustrated, and I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm taking a me day. Somebody else can come and sit with him and listen to him bitch.
And that I'll be there.
Oh, I know.
For anything.
And he's going to take that. He's going to take because there's going to be days where he's not going to want me, around.
Right, you guys will get sick
because he's going to have had enough of me talking and enough of me nagging at him, and but that's me and Leonard. Right, that's who we are.
Well, that's most married couples, really, when you think about it. Now, yesterday they finally took the tubes out.
So yesterday was a huge day. So let me back up just a little bit to Monday. Monday I called, or actually the nurse called me to give me an update. And she said, I have a doctor here that would like to speak to you in regards to Leonard's progress or non-progress. So I spoke to Dr. Tatum, who is a resident doctor up there on the ICU, and we had a discussion about possibly doing a tracheostomy at the end of this week, meaning Friday. The Dr. Tatum told me this so that when I went up to see him on Thursday, it would not be a huge, thing right in my face and a big surprise.
Right.
But due to, they did try to wean Leonard off the ventilator over the weekend, and he did not tolerate it. No. That's where the discussion was headed. It was probably about within a 5-hour time frame. The doctors decided they wanted to try a different situation with Leonard. So on his ventilator, they have different modes that they can put it on. They changed it to what they call is like a CPAP mode. So that it was forcing air in, which in turn he had to breathe.
Right.
He had to exhale. And when a couple of our family members went up Monday night to see him, he was breathing. He was doing it. He was giving thumbs up. He was trying to wave. He was shaking his head yes, shaking his head no. Because at that time, it was only yes or no questions.
Right.
Because he couldn't talk. So you had to ask him a yes or no so he could shake his head.
Right.
Which irritated him even more.
Right. Made him angry.
But so yesterday, when I called up there to get an update, it was actually the other way around. The nurse called me yesterday morning, and she said, so I want to know when you were last updated, and I want to know what the update was. And so I told her it was, 8 o'clock Monday night, and he was on the ventilator still, but it was on CPAP mode, and he was doing okay. She said, well, I have news that I think you both are going to be excited and happy about. And it was they were going to take him off of all of his sedation, which they had done before she had called me. And they were going to take him off the ventilator. And they were going to extubate him.
Yep. And then suddenly Leonard had a voice again after all those days.
She said she would call me within a couple hours after extubating him because she didn't want me to get my hopes up and then have something happen and they had to intubate again. He was extubated for about 45 minutes, and she called me back and said, Leonard's talking. Yeah. She said Leonard is holding his own. He's breathing on his own. His O2 stats are right where they need to be. She said, I spoke to him and started to tell him what had happened, and his response to her was, I already know. I heard everything that everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
He told her that she talked too much because he hadn't been able to say anything.
Right. Shocker.
And so his Aunt Bonnie went up. I got a hold of her and told her that they had extubated him and that he was talking, and she said she was going to go. And I asked her to video call with me, and for the first time in 9 days, I heard Leonard's voice.
That must have been the best feeling ever.
I can't even describe it. I was so ecstatic. I held it together. I did not cry because I didn't want him to be like, oh my God, it's okay,
Right.
But the biggest smile ever. And I said, Tasha's right here. Do you want to see her? And he's like, yeah. And anybody who knows Leonard and Tasha's relationship, father-daughter, he said to her, and excuse my language, but he said, what the fuck are you doing? Which made her day. Absolutely made her day. Because that's how he is with her. He stuck his tongue out at her, told her to go to work.
Yeah.
He was concerned about my reaction to him. He asked me if I was ready to handle him and if I still wanted to. And
oh my goodness.
My response to him was, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. He's my other half. He is the last quarter to my world.
It's amazing how people think that way, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you know my situation and where I was at and where I've been, and I've had lots of, medical issues and the amputation and whatever, and feeling like I was somehow no longer
you,
same or
no longer
worthy of, or
Yep.
It's like the take in, and then in the end I wasn't, but you guys will be fine.
Yeah,
because
you're
way different anyway. But
that's the thing is, regardless of his injuries, regardless of the scars that he's going to have, those are just going to be, to me, those will be the battle wounds from the battle that Leonard won. Like I said, the surgeons, even yesterday morning, the nurse said that they were expecting him to fail because of the extent of his injuries. Granted, his lungs, they weren't punctured. They
God.
exactly.
They were exposed.
Exactly. They were
You
exposed.
saw them. You actually thought they were his
I
heart.
did. I saw his left, not his left, his, it was his left lung that I saw, inflating and deflating at the scene of the accident. So to hear that there was no injury to either of his lungs or his heart,
you were very surprised.
was a complete shock. I mean, absolute complete shock. And even more so, he doesn't have any head injuries. There was no head injuries at all. Everything that happened to him was his chest cavity, his torso.
Yep.
And the doctors are, he's a miracle. He is a miracle.
Yeah.
And it's even more a miracle that Monday I was having a discussion with a doctor about doing a tracheostomy on Friday. And here it is,
Wednesday.
less than 24 hours later on Tuesday, and they extubated him and he's talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome.
And the nurse told me, she was the nurse yesterday. She was there when he went in. So she's watched his progress for the entire last week and a half. She's seen it all. And she said, his stubbornness is what has pulled him through this. And I am not a very religious person at all. But I truly believe that he's got some guardian angels that have point blank said, it's not your time. You're not going.
Yeah.
Not only me telling him that, but the people that aren't here. I talked to my dad.
He does listen because he told you he was done.
He told me he was done.
And you said,
"Yep,
no, you're not."
Yep.
And see, he does listen.
Yeah. Well,
maybe just this once.
This is the first time for everything.
Right. Don't expect it to continue. Right. Yeah.
But he's here. He's here. Regardless of the scars that he has, regardless of any disability that he may have or may not have. We don't know.
Right.
It's
still a long road.
It's one day at a time.
He has a long road. I mean, he
does.
Last week, what was it? The end of the week and into the weekend, he spiked and carried a fever.
Yep.
There's always those chances. There's still chances for infection. He still needs to heal. He still needs to gain a ton of strength in his upper body.
That and they are saying to expect that he may have to have some surgeries in the future. Not because of any anything going wrong, but there may come a time where he's like, something in my chest doesn't feel right, and they go in and they do a CAT scan or an MRI,
an adjustment,
and
of sorts,
the plates have shifted a little, so he may have a screw that he can feel that they may just have to go in and shave a little bit of it off, or they may have to remove it. But I will take whatever gets thrown at us to have him here. And if that means we have future surgeries, then we have future surgeries.
Right.
PT will have PT. Rehab will have rehab. I will take all of that to have him here with us. It's amazing to me, the people that I don't know, that I didn't know, that have reached out and said, we're thinking of you, we're praying for you. The amount of support that I have had, that my kids have had, just it blows your mind. It blows your mind that when something like this happens, I mean, always been on the giving end of this. I've never been on the receiving end. And I had always, it won't happen. I won't be on the receiving end.
Yeah, we all do that. Yeah.
I'm on the receiving end of it. And I go to bed at night and I, thank everybody. I just, before I go to bed now, I say a silent thank you to everybody that I know and that I don't know. That has reached out, that has donated money, that has, brought, meals last week to me and the girls. Because we just, I wasn't in a state of mind to cook for my kids.
Well, and you were sick.
And having COVID on top of that.
Yeah.
And it was, people asking, what do you want to eat? I didn't know what I wanted to eat because I didn't know if I wanted to eat, but I also couldn't taste anything.
Right.
So, what sounded good didn't taste good.
Right.
But, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. And I personally want everybody, every single person that, reached out and said, we're thinking of you. If you need something, let us know. That donated money, that is still, saying, if in, 2 months you guys need something, let us know.
Yeah,
we will help.
We're coming up on winter here.
We will help.
Yeah. We're coming up on winter, and we know you guys have a home. There's shoveling, there's plowing, there's wood that may need to be gotten, there's things that are going to need to be done, and Leonard is not going to be able to do that, and that's going to be extremely tough for him.
Yes.
To deal with. We all know that, but we have to somehow find a way to tie that man down and not allow him to do those sorts of things, because he will want to. He
will. And the other thing,
so if we all do it, then maybe we can get him to sit and watch.
Right. The other thing too, with the extent of his chest injury, is he's stubborn and he's going to want to do all of this stuff. And when people talk to him, they're going to have to remind him that you can't do that, because if he does do it and he does, anything that could potentially undo the surgery,
he'll be in big
there's
trouble.
A very, very good chance that he won't make it, because of the extent of it, because of what they had to do with, putting the plates in and then taking the muscle from the abdomen and flipping it up.
He truly needs to heal entire way.
He needs to, there won't be any, give, none at all. It will be, he will have to take it easy. He will have to do exactly what they're asking him to do and telling him. So anybody who knows him and knows how stubborn he is,
he's going to say, I'm fine.
You put your foot down. Put your foot down.
Yeah.
He's already telling me that, and the nurses, he can get out of bed. He can get out of bed.
Yeah, he's already pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm not surprised.
He's been good. He hasn't gotten out of bed. He's given them the evil eye. He's given them the hairy eyeball. He said, yeah, I can do it. But it's just because he wants to see me. He wants to get up. He wants to move. He wants to see his family. But once I'm able to go up and see him, and literally explain to him, it's,
and see for yourself. I mean,
exactly.
You guys have, thankfully had the video chat.
Yes.
But you have not been able to sit with him yet. And I know that even as tough as you are, that's going to be tough tomorrow. Tomorrow, you are looking forward to it. You're happy. You're excited to do it, but it's going to be tough for you.
It is.
I know that. And, it's going to be surreal. And, the last time you saw him really was, you didn't know what was going to happen.
I
and
didn't.
Then boom, you couldn't see him anymore.
Yep.
It'll be amazing, but hard at the same time.
It will. It
Now,
will.
Are you just coming to your anniversary, or did you just pass it?
We just passed our 10-year
That's what I
anniversary.
thought.
Our 10-year wedding anniversary was September 1st.
That's okay.
So his accident is exactly 1 month after our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I said to him on our 10-year anniversary, I said, "So what did you plan?"
Right.
And he goes, "I didn't plan anything."
Nothing.
I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean you didn't plan anything?" And he said, "I'm not wasting the best one on 10 years." And I looked at him and I said, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And then a month later, I wasn't sure if I was going to get an 11-year anniversary with him. But I will. I'll get an 11-year. I'll get a 12-year. I'll get a 20-year.
Yeah, you will. He's going to be sticking around to annoy you for a
He
really
is.
long time. Just don't forget that. So the long and the short of it is that you guys are still going to need help. This is a long road. And I know that you hate to say that. It's not something you want to say. But it's a reality.
It is.
That you're going to need help.
Yes.
You're going to need to have time away from work.
Yes.
There's no way you're going to be able to work full time and care for him.
No, because
I'll
I'll be his
he's
primary.
not going back anytime soon.
No.
And we don't know if he ever will be able to.
Right.
And that's a reality that, it's there.
It is there, and I've thought about that. And it, as awful as it is to have to think about that, I already have. I've thought about the possibility of what if he cannot. And the only thing I can say and the only thing I can do is we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Right. Exactly.
In the meantime, I'm just going to be thankful that he's here. I'm going to be thankful for all the support that we've got. I'm going to be thankful for all the donations that people have given to us. I did go back to work this past Sunday, only for 5 hours. I did Sunday, Monday, and today, and I will make a decision within the next couple of days what I will work, if I will go back, even if it's, just a couple hours in the morning, and then go spend time at the hospital with him. But my main priority, my main focus will be on him,
getting him home,
getting him better, and our kids. I mean, it's, that's without our kids or him, there's a hole. I mean, it's, he's here, he's at UVM, but there's still the hole. And everybody's dealing with it in different ways. I will be the first one to tell you, I have come to terms that I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm lost. Most of all, I'm confused. My biggest thing is I've just been lost, because he's there. He's always there. And so for him to not be there was, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know where I was supposed to go. I didn't know what I was supposed to say, to a lot of people. But I finally was able to wrap my head around that I was mad, I was sad, I was confused, and most of all, I was lost. So that's where I'm at. I am happy. Today has been one of the better days that I've had, because I know that he can talk.
Right.
And that was a huge thing for him.
Yep.
And it's one more day closer. I get to go see him.
Yeah.
And I get to touch him.
And they let his hands free.
They did. They took his restraints off.
Yeah.
Because he can't try to pull the tube out.
Right. It's out.
I mean, he can. Good. He's still got IVs. He's still got the stickers on his chest, monitoring his heart and
wound
everything.
vac gone.
There's no wound vac on.
Good.
They have it all completely closed up. The
No.
entire incision, everything
Good.
is closed up.
Good.
Another thing that I wanted to put out there too was we are dealing with a pulmonary embolism as well. He does have one. When I got the update yesterday, last night, they said that they hadn't taken him for another CT scan yet, and they weren't sure if that was on the agenda for today. But he's been on a heparin drip, which they've been monitoring closely, and also with his fever that he had spiked over the weekend, it went up to 103.
Right.
And they ended up pinpointing where that infection was.
Good.
And it was literally in his chest where they had repaired. So they have been putting antibiotics directly into that. And his fever has gone down. I'm not sure what it was. The nurse that I spoke to this morning to get an update said that she hadn't gone over his chart yet, but she was going to be going over his chart, and she was going to be waiting to hear from the doctors what their plan is for today. So it's baby steps. It's going to be baby steps. It's one day at a time. And like I said, I'll take one day at a time. I will take one day at a time.
Yeah.
If it means getting him better and getting him home, then that's exactly what we're going to do.
Well, don't forget, either one of you, that you have lots of people here for you, and a community that loves and supports you and will continue to help you get through this. You're not alone, and make sure you tell him that, and tell him I'm going to be up soon to kick his ass.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I will be up. And crazy week for me, as you know.
Yes.
But I am going to be around, and he's going to wish I hadn't if he doesn't behave himself. And so,
well, you know as well as I do, he's not going to behave himself.
I know he's not.
Because he doesn't behave himself.
No, he doesn't. But then it wouldn't be him, right?
Exactly.
So, thanks for coming down, explaining.
Yes.
I wanted to give you a chance to tell your side and to tell what happened, because the worst part about all of this, anytime anything like this happens, is the rumors.
Yep.
And now that we all have a platform to say whatever we want to say when we want to say it, it makes it easier for those rumors. And sometimes they can just be so hurtful in many ways. They can impede investigations. They can really hurt feelings. They can rip people apart, and it's just not necessary. And I know it can be tough sometimes when you're already dealing with so much crap to deal with that, and to try to muddle through that while so many other people are trying to be good.
Yep.
Sometimes it's hard because that bad just gets you, and it makes you so upset at times.
Yep. And like with any story, any accident, any situation, there's always going to be the rumors. But
Exactly.
if there is one thing that I can say honestly that I've learned in the last week and a half is, don't sweat the small things.
That's right.
Don't sweat the small things.
Because those that matter don't mind.
Exactly.
That is like one of the truest statements ever, really.
Yep.
It just is. And I'm happy that you came in.
Thank you.
And talked to us, and
thank you.
And like I said, we're here for you. Support you and Leonard and the kids, and tell him not to be a grumpy old bastard. I'll be around soon.
I will definitely tell him you said that.
So again, thanks for joining us. We're live here, right on North Main Street, right across the street from Nelson's Ace, and one of our presenting sponsors. We love them to death. Here at the ASB Financial Fly on the Wall Studios, and on this beautiful sunny day.
Yes.
And I'm hearing that the foliage is absolutely spectacular. 302, 25, amazing. And if you're going to go to the Northeast Kingdom, go quick, because the hard rains and the winds are going to take it all away in probably the next 24 hours, because they've been at peak for a while. And if you've been on 232, I think that's what it's called, in Groton over the Forest
Yes.
Road, they already reached their peak according to the sign that says it was at 2 p.m. last Saturday. Although it stays on the tree all the time, so it's always at 2 p.m. on Saturday.
Right.
So go this Saturday. Anyways, thanks for joining us. Thanks for love and support to Bev and Leonard, and thank you for the love and support that you have always given Rosann to. And just remember, today and every day, her beautiful smile, her heart, and yeah, let's be like Rosann. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.